Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. You've got a story to share, a message to inspire, and a passion ready to ignite. But where do you start? The world is waiting for your voice. With From Idea to Implementation, Start Your Own Podcast, you'll get the roadmap to turn your vision into reality. This isn't just a course, it's your launching pad. Step by step, we'll break down the process from defining your purpose to recording your first episode so you can finally share your voice with confidence. Stop overthinking it and start doing it. Your voice has the power to connect and lead. Are you ready to use it? Join the waitlist today. Your podcast journey starts now. The world is waiting. You can find the link to sign up for the waitlist in the show notes. We'll see you soon. Hello, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created and built to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Amy Charlesworth. Welcome, Amy. How are you doing today?
I'm so great. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to jump in and share all about your story, your journey, and the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. You are a 16-year military veteran and an advocate for mental health and healing. I would love to know, what was the catalyst or inspiration behind joining the military for you, and why the military?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was a pretty wild teenager, and I was actually living in England at the time. And my father really didn't want me to join the military. I had been inspired to because I saw these military men and women in uniform at this recruiting office, this British Army recruiting office downstairs from this hair salon I used to apprentice at. And when I was done with school, I saw their uniforms. I'm like, whatever they're doing, I want to do because they look amazing. And I was an impressionable teenage girl. The guys were just super cute and just all the normal teenage stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have a rhyme or reason. It was just like what I wanted to do. My dad wouldn't let me. And so that summer, I was coming to England. My mom lived in America at the time. And when I got here, I was like, Mom, I'm thinking about joining the military. And she's like, do it. And I'm like, Dad won't let me. And she's like, I'll sign for you to join. As soon as I turned 17, I really pissed off my dad. But my mom let me join the military. So off to the Army I went. And then the next 16 years unrolled.
Wow. And so how long did it take your dad to get past that fact that you just went ahead and did it anyways?
I don't think he talked to me for a year. I'm not even kidding. I think it was like a whole year. But now he's so proud. It's a completely different story on the back end of it. The motto, "This too shall pass," is definitely real. He's pretty proud of everything that's happened so far. So
amazing.
Yeah.
What lessons from your time in uniform do you carry with you every day, and how have they helped shape the woman you are today?
For me, it's just resilience. That's the biggest thing. We're all going through it in some way, shape, or form, and we're all battling different things from different angles. And it's just the case of resilience, just not giving up. And as I said earlier, this too shall pass, just each day at a time.
Yeah. And women in the military wasn't a very common thing for quite a long time. Now I think it's becoming more mainstay and commonplace. But what myths or misconceptions about women in the military do you wish more people would challenge or understand?
Oh my gosh. The first thing that's jumping out to my mind here is just the lack of understanding about the magnitude and the size of the military and how there are 800, that's the real number, 800 career paths in the military. And so right now, the conversation in our society is always focused specifically on the fact that women shouldn't be in the military because we're fighting in combat. First of all, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous, especially like our modern warfighting tactics. We're using drones these days. There's all kinds of equipment that we have, safety equipment. The one tiny little percent of the military that we focus on are these like SF badass guys that are kicking down doors and taking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like there's 800 other careers. And so instead of just blanket statements saying women shouldn't be in the military, it's hang on a second. There's all these careers that women are desperately needed, including on the field in war zones, especially in situations where there's these huge cultural differences, such as like when we were over in Afghanistan, the men in the US military couldn't speak to the women to have appropriate relationships with them and be mindful of their religion and their local culture. Women engagement teams were desperately needed in those scenarios to talk to women, to get intel, and to have operations on the ground that were so essential. So there's 800 career fields, guys.
Yeah.
Women have a very valid place in the military.
For sure. 800. Holy shit. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That is incredible. And so during your 16 years, what kind of changes did you see from when you first joined to when you left in terms of women being more prevalent and present in the military?
Yeah, when I joined in 2006, and that was at the height of Afghanistan and Iraqi wars, as an example, just for frame of reference of time. And at that time, women couldn't join the combat arms. So I remember when I was early in my career looking at a TV, and I was standing in this office at Southern Oregon University OCS office, and I was looking on the TV and I was all excited about being in the military and being new. And there was this news story that came on the news about how a woman had been just allowed to go on to a submarine for the first time. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And just like the concept of, wait a second, I'm a woman and I'm not allowed to do this. I didn't even realize I wasn't allowed to do things.
Yeah.
And then as I started getting more curious about what types of career I wanted to do in the military, I wanted to be a tank driver. They wouldn't let me do that because I was a girl. I wanted to go air assault, and I had to ask for 8 years in a row to be able to go. And they kept telling me no because I was a girl. That was literally the official response. No, because you're a girl. And finally, on my 8th year of asking, I ended up getting to go, and I became air assault qualified and a rappel master. And I've been awarded by the state of Oregon. I was the first female in the history of the Oregon Army National Guard to become an Army rappel master.
Amazing.
And so when I left active duty stuff in 2016, that's the year that they actually started letting women go into combat arms officially instead of these backdoor sideways. And they had actually asked me if I would be willing to become an infantry officer and go to infantry school to help create access for more women to go, because part of the rollout rule was that they wanted a woman in senior leadership, meaning that they wanted an officer within the brigade or battalion of whoever was going to go in that area. And then they wanted a woman to be like a E6, a staff sergeant or above. And I was an E6. So they wanted me to do one of the other, go officer route or go in as an E6 to become infantry. And I was all about it. And so I was actually training to do that right up until I left. And I left the military in 2022. But during that time, it was just like so mind-blowing that to be part of the wave of the first women doing some of these things to normalize, like, guys, like women are just as capable. Men wash out of these courses just as much. And just like one quick frame of reference point I want to make. When I went through air assault school, 300 people show up on day 0 to go to air assault school. And this is one of the schools they said women couldn't graduate from. And the people that graduated, 150 people, maybe it was 100 graduated. So it was like literally half the class got washed out.
Yeah.
Most of those are men. There's only like 8 people, like 8 women show up out of the 300, period, literally. So 8 women out of the 300, that's like a real like statistic of how many people showed up to my course. And I was one of maybe 2 women that graduated that course. But again, the rest are male that are washing out. Whenever anybody's women can't do X, I'm like, hang on a second, let's just talk about my air assault class. Like, you see how many men could make it? So yeah, like it's just silly. Like women can do it. Yeah.
That's incredible. And so can I ask, what facilitated you leaving the military?
Yeah. The military is tough. It's tough for a lot of reasons. It's tough on families. It's tough on your mental health. You can't really ever put roots down. You're always gone, a 16-year-old son. And I was in the military for all of that. I think there's 1 year that I didn't have a son.
Wow.
And I was in Afghanistan for almost 2 years, and my son was at home by himself, and no, not by himself, but
I know what you mean.
And,
yes.
but like without me, and there's a lot of time away from my kid, and so I got to the point in 2021-ish when Biden started the pull out of Afghanistan. I got upset. I got pretty angry with how that was done. I got to be honest, and I just had this moment. I was actually going through OCS and officer candidate school for those listening at home, and I was going to go the infantry route and do all of that, and I realized like how much more time away I was going to be gone. And during the pullout of Afghanistan, I was there during Afghanistan. So I know what we put into it. I know the sacrifices we made. I know the lives that were lost. And I know personally, like the time time and the sacrifice my family had while I was there. And when they pulled out of Afghanistan the way that they did, it made me feel like it was all for nothing and what a waste of my life it was and what a waste of my time it was. So I got pretty upset in that and realized that I wasn't happy and it wasn't serving me and it wasn't serving my son or my family. And I'd done 16 years. And most people are like, well, why didn't you just do the full 20? And I'm like, I got 4 years back of my own sovereignty and my own life. And so I couldn't have made a better decision for myself.
Wow. So it was a fairly easy decision for you then, really, when you look back? No?
No, it was a little bit of a war internally for me to get to the point that I got to leave. I was having a hard time because I was 17 when I joined, and it's all I knew. I'm in my mid-30s now, and that was all I knew. It was my whole life and my whole adult life. I had never been an adult without the military, and for me, that was a huge safety net.
Yeah.
And leaving a situation where you've got health insurance, you've got a paycheck, you've got a good idea of what you're doing with your life and your career. You have a good idea what you're going to wear every single day and where you're going to be and what meals you're going to eat. Everything's predetermined for you. And when you leave the military, there's no health insurance. There's all these things. And you have to start over completely from scratch. And that's scary. That's really tough. Yeah.
For sure. So in what ways did your service teach you about the strength of the human spirit, and in what ways did it test it?
My goodness. Going back to what I said earlier with resilience, that's probably why I said resilience. You can have a bad day, nighttime's going to come, the day's going to be over, and you're going to go to sleep, and you're going to wake up, and it's going to be a new day, and there's going to be a new set of circumstances, a new series of events. And again, that phrase I said earlier, this too shall pass, that is the motto of my life. And that's the biggest takeaway I took from the military, because there are bad days, but then there's good ones. There's amazing days. There's days like the day I got my air assault wings, like all that work, all that effort. And I go through the finish line and I get handed a pair of my wings that I so desperately wanted to put on my chest. And there's good moments, there's bad moments. And so I think for me, it's just the power of resilience and the power of just getting it done and getting through it. And when nighttime comes, it's a big master resetter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know it's probably very hard, as you said, you struggled with an internal war, leaving and transitioning back to civilian life. So can you speak to the unspoken grief that comes with transitioning into civilian life and how you navigated that?
Yeah, transitioning out of the military, that's like when I actually started a whole podcast. That was the original theme, was this military transition and how tough that is. It's a grievance of a life that is no longer yours, right? Like you're losing your friends, you're losing your job, you're losing your routine. It's truly a death almost. Yeah. And it's a transition into, like I said, the great unknown. And it's such an important time to evaluate what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what serves you, what doesn't serve you, lines of thinking. You have to reprogram yourself from the DNA level. Like it's like everything has to be done differently. And so it truly is a loss, and grieving is completely normal during that time. And it is so important when you're about to do that to set up in advance of making that transition. And I know someone's a year out from retirement or a year out from their contract ending or whatever. I'm encouraging them, start now, get your circle ready, get your family ready, set up like what job are you going to fall into? Or if you're taking a break, great. What are you going to do with that time? Have a plan. You can't just rip the Band-Aid off. Like you really need to transition slowly, because these things are huge. They say moving your home to a new destination is one of the biggest, most impactful, stressful things in your life. This is way more than just that, right? Yeah. This is like all the things all at once. For a lot of people, especially men, it's like, now you're not going to be away from home all the time. What does being home with your kids and your wife feel like and look like? Like how is your relationship at home? You're going to be spending a lot more time with that person. So it's everything. And it's really important to approach it carefully, cautiously, with a plan. And what is your backup plan? What's your plan B if your first plan fails? So yeah, transition's tough.
How does the military get involved in helping people transition in ways at all?
They've gotten better. They definitely have programs, for sure. They've always had programs as far back as I can remember. The entire time that I was in, they had some sort of transition program. They weren't great. I think when people get to that point where they're transitioning out, they're just done. They're like, get out of here, leave me alone kind of thing. They don't want to go through the program. I would say it's probably up to the person that's transitioning to make the most of their support and their experience. There's the VA does offer some great groups. The military also has great groups. They have a lot of family programs as well through the military where there's volunteers, usually often spouses that are doing those volunteer programs that will help military members transition and make sure they know and understand like all their resources. So like their health benefits, their ability to apply for disability insurance, all of the different things that they may need. There's also some vocational rehab centers where they're able to help them find careers and get really settled into civilian life. And of course, then there's things like the Elks Lodge and different veteran resources in the area. But usually those are the older guys. For the younger guys, it can be tough. Yeah. There are great groups out there. You just have to know where to look.
It's got to be quite an adjustment for the family too, because they have been away from you or whoever it is for so long. It's got to be one hell of an adjustment for them too. You coming back into the fold and getting back into routine of family and doing things with family and all the rest.
Yeah, I took it for granted at the time. But when I first got back from Afghanistan, we had a baby. Like my son was 3 years old when I got home. And I left when he was 18 months old to go to Afghanistan. And I came back to a 3.5-year-old. And I didn't understand at the time what that was going to do for me or for, at the time, my husband. And that was the hardest thing ever. Like coming back, I'd just been in a war zone and I'm coming home. My little toddler, who I didn't even know could walk really, ran up to me and put his arms around my neck. And it's like, bam, now you're in mom mode. And it's like, how do you go overnight from, I was just in a war zone yesterday to now I am a mom? And that's the same is true for fathers, right? Like you were just in a war zone yesterday and now you're a father. And it's like, you have to like completely strip skin of everything you've built up over the last year, the anger, the reactivity, the frustration, the volatility, the death, all these things. And then now you're like needing to be soft and loving and nurturing. And that is so hard. And not to mention, that's just your kid or your children.
Yeah.
You also have to be like a loving spouse. So then it was like, oh shoot, I'm married. I forgot I was married. I have a husband. That it's sad, but the military has something like an 80% divorce rate. And it's really heartbreaking because it's not healthy for a relationship. It really isn't. And it's really tough to get back into that mode and to be a sister, a wife, a friend, a mother. There's all these different hats that you wear. I think we forget as humans, like just how dynamic our lives are and how simplified things are when you're in the military. It is so cut down, removed of distraction. You're barely even on your cell phone or internet or whatever when you're overseas. And so like to come home like that and to be immersed in just like all the things, it is no wonder we have a mental health crisis in the military.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's insane. I can't even begin to imagine how tough that adjustment must have been for you and how tough it is for everybody transitioning back to civilian life.
Yeah.
Wow. What parts of yourself, if any, did you have to bury in order to survive in the military, and what has it taken to unearth them again?
My femininity.
Being the biggest one, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I struggle with that a lot. It's something I actively, quite literally, I did some deep work on that a couple months ago this year. All these years later, I've been out of the military fully since 2022. We're in 2025 now, and I'm still working on it. But I would say that for me, and by the way, that's true for men and women, femininity, masculine, feminine, there's a healthy balance, yin and yang, right? Like men and women need to be balanced in both. And for me, I was in survival mode for most of my adult life. And so I've been fully in masculine. Survival mode is a very masculine energy. And so that is something that I've been trying to get back. And I remember it's physical things. Like when I was over in Afghanistan, I cut all my hair off, and just like getting my hair back was a big thing. And even things like how I approach situations or talk to people or how I'm reactive to scenarios when they pop up. I have to be extremely mindful of reaction time and that not everyone's out to get me and not everyone's coming. I don't need to be so defensive. So that's a big thing that I'm working through right now, is just balancing that masculine and feminine.
Yeah, and I would imagine that you had to make split-second decisions being in the military, and now being in civilian life, it's a little bit different. There are situations, of course, where you have to make split-second decisions, but it's not as much pressure as, it's not life and death like you experience in the military.
Yeah, just in general, decision-making is always an aggressive situation in the military. I feel like it's always like people are always yelling at you, like your leaders are always yelling. You know what I mean? It's not, we're going to calmly think about this decision and we're going to sit on it overnight and come back. It's make a decision right now. Someone's yelling at you. There's always a time hack. There's always pressure. And that anxiety of, I got to make a decision or it needs to be done or whatever the case is, that is so wound up in my DNA. And so I've been spending quite a few years now, and I will have to continue to unwind that programming that's in my brain.
That is one hell of a process to have to deprogram that way of living. That's insane. Wow. How did your experience in the military impact your mental and emotional well-being, both during and after you left the service?
Yeah, it was pretty negative. I got to a point, I'm very candid about this to hopefully help somebody, but I got to a point where I was suicidal. And that experience, it almost took my life. And I really can't underscore the importance of having a community and a network and a support system for transition. Because when you're in it, it's like you're a lobster in boiling water. You don't really realize that you're about to go off the edge until it happens. And because you're in it as the user, if this is a video game, like you're the player, and you don't realize what's going on around you or within you until it's too late almost. And so knowing that this is a very real possibility for the bulk of people that are coming in and out of the military, it's the bulk of the military that struggle mentally like this. It's so important that you prepare yourself, even if you think you don't need it, have a plan B, have a support system, have a network, have a community, and listen to the people when they're calling you out. So if your wife's complaining all the time, what is she complaining about? She might be onto something. If your father or your mother is like, hey, you're not acting like yourself, take that seriously and have a plan. But it's scary for me. I literally came close. And it wasn't until I had somebody offer a particular therapy modality to me with plant medicine that I was able to save my life, because I tried everything. I was on for over 10 years. I was on SSRIs. I was on every pharmaceutical I could think of, Ambien. I was doing talk therapy, and nothing was scratching that itch. That nothing was helping me. And it's the way we have our Western society set up today for handling things like depression and anxiety just exasperates the problem. It's just stacking pills on pills on pills. And it's just so inappropriate for what the particular issues are that come associated with the military.
I have to ask, you hear a lot of stories of veterans coming home and they struggle a lot with mental health. It's a huge problem, as you've mentioned, or mistreatment when they come home and all of these things. So why is it then, do you think, that so many people want to join the military when you think about, or maybe they don't think about when they finally come home, how things are going to be? Like struggling with this sounds, I know you said there are great days and all this thing. Of course there are. There's always going to be bad and good to everything. But it sounds like the struggle of coming home, and it's a common thing. Why would people want to join the military when you know that it's going to be that hard of a struggle getting back into civilian life? Like mental health and all these issues.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's 800 careers. Not everybody has issues. Not everybody gets deployed. Not everybody gets put in a situation, a unit, a group of people. Because you go into a unit, you're going to serve with a lot of other people. That's bad. There's good units and there's bad units. There's a rating system, just as one little example for you, where they rate the states. If you're in the National Guard, where you're 50-50, they have a rating system of retention. And as we know with civilian employment places, there's a retention model. And the retention model is, you can tell if an organization's a great place to work or not based on if people stay.
For sure.
So there's a retention rating system. And I was in Oregon, which was 49th in the country for retention. So it was like one of the worst places, and it might still be one of the worst places to be in the Army National Guard. And that's bad leadership. So you're not always going to get bad leaders, right? Sometimes you're going to get good leaders. There's states that are number 1 and 2 to be in that have really great retention. So I just want to preface all of this just to say, I don't want to speak for everybody in the military and say everyone's having a bad time. Like sometimes people are having a great time. But why people join the military, I was a recruiter for the military. So I can tell you from the recruiting perspective, what is done. So first of all, only 3% of the United States is in the military. It's a really small percentage. And only 3% of the United States is even eligible to join the military. It's a really small number to get in. Now, why? Education and you have to take a test. You have to pass like a math, science, English, and
Yeah.
all that kind of ASVAB test. You have to be physically fit. There can be nothing wrong with you. Quite literally, if you're allergic to pineapple, this is real. If you're allergic to pineapple, you're not eligible to join the military.
Wow.
So I mean, like it's different. Like when you go through like the MEPS, the military entrance processing station, they will filter you out. It is their job to filter you out. They'll scare the kids going through, and they'll be like, "Have you ever been to the hospital? Even for that paper cut that you had stitched up, write it down." And then it's like they make the process impossible to have the person go in the military. So it's really hard to get in. Then there's like legal, and passing a drug test, which is even more difficult these days because kids are smoking pot everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to join. So in terms of like why people join, there's factors like they pay for college. It offers hope to some people who have no other hope. For me, that was it. Like as I looked at my life, although I was like, oh, the men are really cute in uniform, and I joke about that. For me, there was really not a lot of other great options. It was like, okay, maybe I'll go be a hairdresser or something. But college I wasn't academically strong. Like college wasn't my path. And I was displaced as a kid going back and forth between England and America because my parents were divorced and living in different countries, that I didn't really belong anywhere. So for me, like the military was a place of belonging. So if you're a kid with a rough family and maybe you're poor or whatever, like the military is a way out. Right. It gives you, I have an MBA now, right? It gives you a path. It gives you money to go to school and family, belonging, a sense of purpose, right? There's a million different factors. So most of the people that join the military, and I'm gonna say, you can put my name on this, most of the people that join the military are coming from messed up backgrounds. There's the kids who do the college route, go OCS through college. Yeah, there's the West Point kids and all of that. But if you're joining the military, it's usually for one of like very few reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Amy. How do you define courage today versus how you defined it in your early years of service?
So earlier in my service, I would have defined courage as what the military branding is, like the courage to never quit and the courage to never like that kind of stuff. The be all you can be campaigns. For me, courage now it's honesty, it's integrity, it's like living by a moral code, it's a compass, it's not being afraid to do the right thing. It's so much different than I originally. Courage then was like, oh, I'm going to run into a war zone and shoot my rifle. And it was that kind of who's got the bigger balls kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now courage for me is now I'm in a world where lying is so easy and shying away from difficult conversations is the norm. And so for me, courage today is having the guts just to be the best version of yourself you can be.
Love it. What has the military taught you about the power and the price of silence?
I think the power and the price of silence is something that I need desperately to remember to do in my daily practice now. That's something I'm working on. We talked earlier about like masculine and feminine energy. Sometimes not saying anything at all is way better than saying something. And you don't always have to fill the silence. And even in my everyday language, when I'm saying, I don't need to fill the silence. And I think there's some kind of tick almost, especially that are kids these days and younger generations especially, there's like almost a need to fill it from a place of insecurity or something.
Yeah.
And being silent is so much more powerful than filling it with words. And so I'm not there yet. That's actually, if I was to make a list of things I would love to improve about myself, that would be one of them. As I just did another right there.
But I think catching yourself doing it.
Yeah, I am catching myself. Yeah, I'm being very self-aware, so we're on the right path.
Yeah.
But the power of silence is huge. If you're in a situation with a loved one where maybe they've said something really harmful or hurtful or whatever, you don't have to respond. You don't have to react. And it's probably better that you don't. And you probably give it some breathing room and then approach them from a place of love. And that's ultimately what the goal is, to get back to a place of love. Yeah. And when you're speaking, it's doing it from a place of love, right? When you're commonly on a lot of shows talk about this scenario of you're in LA traffic and people are flipping you off. And the true measure of how you're doing emotionally is if you can drive in LA traffic from point A to point B without yelling at anyone, honking at anyone, or cutting anyone off. That's the big measure of how you're doing. And for me, when I go to LA now, I'm proud of myself because I make it from point A to point B without filling the silence with at the sky or, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Flipping anyone off, nothing.
But who's it serving the most? It's serving me. It's serving me the most if I'm silent in those scenarios.
Yep.
It's serving me the most if I don't take the bait to take the opportunity to say something negative, because all of the negativity that's coming out of your mouth, right? When instead of just choosing silence, the negativity that's coming out of your mouth, it's actually just doing another loop back around and coming in the other ear.
Yep.
And you absolutely are a product of what you put out into the world, and your experience in life is a product of what you put out into the world. Yep. And so I truly think that silence is the most golden. Yeah.
Power of the pause.
Power of pause.
It is. Whatever we put out there always comes back to us. I'm reading a book. I just finished reading a book, A Happy Pocket Full of Money, and it talks about being in the present moment and how when you do put something out into the world, it's always going to come back to you, however it is, if it's anger, the anger will come back to you in one way or another. If it's happiness, it will come back to you in one way or another. Be mindful of that stuff. And that's not easy. It's hard to step into that and to practice that. But I think the more that we practice it, the easier it gets. And then it just becomes second nature. But it takes a lot to get started with it.
Oh, it's hard. When I started on my healing journey, this is 2021-ish. And the first thing I did was put on some positive affirmations on YouTube, just free 30-minute positive affirmations in the morning. And at first I thought I was crazy. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm in the car driving to work, and I'm literally living in LA at this time. And I'm in my car driving to work, and I'm in traffic, and I'm like, I am calm. I am capable. I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, I'm literally going, if I'm at this level, like, I'm going crazy. That was the best thing I ever did for myself, because for me, that was like a catalyst. It was like tipping a big boulder down the hill. And now it's like, I'm doing positive affirmations. I'm doing deep breaths. I'm doing breathwork classes. I'm going to sound baths. I'm doing plant medicine. Like, I'm like both feet in the healing space, and like these little tiny movements move bigger needles. And so it's just so important to start somewhere. And sometimes that's sitting in your worst trigger hotspot in traffic, listening to affirmations.
There you go. Yeah. It starts with baby steps. That's it.
With baby steps.
What is one thing that you wish that every military leader understood about the mental health of their service members?
Easy. You don't have to be an asshole to make an impact. And there's a lot of bad leaders in the military. There's a lot of good ones too. But the best leaders I ever had treated you like you were human and respected you as well. There was never this like one-way expectation of respect. It was mutual respect.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter what rank someone is. It doesn't matter how young they are. It doesn't matter how dumb they are. Like, none of that matters. What matters is how you make them feel at the end of the day. And if you want someone who's going to stay in the military, if you want someone who's going to stay working for you, right? If you want someone who's going to improve their performance because you gave them good feedback, you need to be respectful. Like, you are, as a leader, you are the product of what you put out, as we just discussed about even words. And if you're oozing respect, you're going to get it back, right? If you're oozing kindness, you're going to get it back. Like, being a leader is difficult, and being a good leader is difficult, but the best leaders always treat their people well.
And that's just common sense, really. But again, common sense isn't so common. But these are basic human skill sets. Just be nice to people and treat people the way you expect or want to be treated, and it'll come back to you. Plain and simple. It's very easy.
Yeah. Also, the whole concept too of don't make your people do something you're not willing to do yourself. I'm thankful for the military for teaching me a lot of these lessons. Like, I learned so much good stuff from the military. If you're going to send your guys to go fill bags of sand, you better be out there doing it with them, or at least take a shift, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get respect if you're sitting in your bunker or your hooch, your tent, whatever it is, while the guys are out there working. Go roll up your sleeves and get stuck in there too.
Yeah. It's the same with everything, right? You spoke about retention earlier. And if a company wants to retain people, you treat them well, and they will want to work that much harder for you. They will want to stay. It won't be this revolving door of people coming and going and coming and going. If you treat people with respect, if you treat your employees well, your soldiers, whatever it is, they're going to want to work that much harder for you.
Yeah. Yeah. As we talk about like the suicide rate in the military, there's all these, everyone's talking about there's 22 people a day committing suicide. Yeah. And the people that are saying that are the ones that are helping people to do that by ruining their mental health. Like the military really needs to take a look at like how leaders are leaders, like this macho chismo, like
Yeah.
making fun of the guys and bullying them and hazing them and girls and all this stuff. It's like the people that are joining the military in the first place, most of them were like made fun in high school, didn't really fit in anywhere. They probably had difficult home lives. And then they go in the military and then the guys there are being dicks to them. And it's like a compounding thing. Oh, I wonder why people are committing suicide. Well, it's because you're all mean to each other, right? Everyone's, you're in a miserable pot of stew. You're all being horrible to each other. No one's supporting one another. Why didn't they reach out to me? Because you made fun of them the week before. It's a vicious cycle. And we need a tough military. That is true. I fully support, we need to be the fiercest fighting force on the nation, but that's not done through abuse. So there's other ways to do that.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of the silent battles that veterans face that most civilians never see or could even possibly begin to understand?
Yeah, from my experience, this probably leans into things like losing your tribe. A lot of the military get really close to one another. And it's like a grievance, as we talked about earlier. It's like grieving in ways that like they can't understand. There's a thing that happens with some military members where they go to war repeatedly and they want it. It's like they're the first to sign up to go over to war. It's like they're eager to go do it. And people would think, why do they do that? Who would possibly want to go to war? And then there's a whole population out there that's even going on right now, even though we're out of Afghanistan and Iraq, really, there's a whole population of people out there that get out of the military and immediately go become mercenary contractors, go all around the world fighting these invisible wars that here in the United States we don't even pay attention to or know that are happening. These are people who are like seeking actively war zones. And why are they doing that? Like there's a thing. What they're struggling with is it's like a serotonin response for the chaos and the drama and the struggle. Like it's a mental health issue. Yeah. And it's really unchecked. And it's something that people don't talk about. Why don't they talk? Because they need it. Like they need these like hungry, fierce war fighters. But at the same time, that's one of the biggest battles that people struggle with is like, people want to go to war. Like people want to fight. People want that's something big. We have a serious mental health crisis.
I couldn't even begin to wrap my head around why someone would want to do that. Just like you said, why people must think, why the hell would you're putting your life on, you could die any day.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these people have kids and families. Oh,
you're putting your life at risk. That's wow. Oh man, that is absolutely nuts. Was there a defining moment that shifted your identity from soldier to healer? And what did that transformation require of you?
Yeah. So I got to the point, as I mentioned earlier, where I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to kill myself. This is just too much. It's ridiculous. Nobody needs to live like this. And I was speaking because I already had a podcast on military transition and I was doing speaking events and things like that, talking about military transition and mental health. And I was talking about it while struggling with it because I was trying to help myself, right? And I was trying to get help. And I wasn't giving advice or anything like that, but I was just literally just sharing like great tips I had found. And hopefully this helps someone else. This helps me. Like I was speaking at this event and somebody in the audience heard me and I was honest. I was like, been suicidal. And they're like, did you just say that you were suicidal? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, I'm just trying to talk about it, man. Put it out there. Yeah. And they're like, absolutely not. That is not okay. And I'm like, wow, it's not okay. And they're like, what can we do to help you? And I'm like, wow. I'd never had anybody be like, can I help you? That had never happened to me. And so when the person had said to me, can I help you? There's this person I want you to meet. There's this center in Austin, Texas called the Illuminating Collective. We want to send you there. It's like a $7,500 experience. It's a retreat week that you go to. It's a 21-week program, but they're like, we'll pay for it. Go. And I'm like, what?
Are you for real right now?
Yeah. Like somebody being willing to help me, number one, somebody paying attention to me and like actually listening. Yeah. I said I was suicidal on stage and guess how many people came up to me? One. And it was like a big shock. And so I went to this program and when I went through the program, I sat with psilocybin, MDMA, and Bufo, which is 5-MeO-DMT. And again, I had been on pharmaceuticals for 10 years. I had been to talk therapy for 10 years. I was in the VA system for 10 years. Nothing was scratching the surface. And I went through this experience. And in 1 week at the retreat week itself, in 1 week, I did 20 years of therapy. And I came out of that experience healed. Like I have zero anxiety, no depression. Wow. I'm not suicidal. I haven't had a single suicidal ideation since July of 2024. And in that moment, once I went through that, I'm like, mind blown. People need to hear about this. And why are more veterans and first responders unable to get access to this. What are the barriers to entry here? And how do we get it for more people? And how do we make it more accessible and affordable? And so I've just been on this warpath ever since to beat the copper pot. If you're struggling like how I was, go do this kind of stuff. And here's the things that worked for me. And like, it saved my life. So I know it's going to save someone else's.
In a week.
In a week. Yeah, in a week.
So I know you wanted to talk about plant medicine and how you utilize it in the work that you do. So please go share, open up.
Yeah, sure. I'll even say it's even less than a week. These are like little, like one session. There's 2 days during the retreat week that you do what they call ceremony, where you sit with these ancient indigenous medicines that have been around since the dawn of time. And these are not alternative modalities or alternative medicines. These are the original, guys. And
like I've heard sorry, Amy, I've heard of ayahuasca ceremonies. I've been, magic mushrooms, but I've never heard I've heard of MDMA, of course, as well. Now, these are all, of course, controlled environments with experts that you're doing this stuff
Absolutely.
with, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's the key important takeaway is I don't condone the recreational use of these things, nor do I condone doing these things by yourself.
Yeah.
If you're going to do the doses that I'm talking about or these medicines that I'm talking about, you should be under supervision. It should be with trained professionals. The professionals I sat with are highly skilled, have studied with indigenous tribes and cultures, we work with licensed clinicians. You need to go through a medical screening process. You can't just take them like they interact with other medications. So you have to be completely sober when you're doing these medicines. So there's like a whole preparation program that you go through. I went through an 8-week prep program to be ready to consume these things. This is serious stuff. And so it's not like you just go to your friend on the corner, grab some magic mushrooms and go home. Don't do that. It's an actual program that you go through. These are Schedule I controlled substances, just heads up for people listening. So you need to go to like somewhere that's reputable, safe, legal, that knows what they're doing to work with this medicine. And I will tell you that a huge key takeaway for this also is it's not like you go to a retreat, you take the medicine. And for me, a day 2 was mushroom and MDMA in one sitting. And that was like a 6 or 8 hour journey. This isn't like you just eat it and then you're good, just for maximum clarity for everybody listening. The real work is when you get home. The real work is the integration phase. Okay, cool. You had all these mind-blowing, mind-altering visions and lessons and insights and downloads and learnings. Okay, cool. Now when you get home, that's when the real work begins. And so you have to want it bad enough that you actually make the changes in your life. So, and that's the saying for that goes for everything, right? How bad do you want something? For my case, I was like, I want it bad because I'm either going to kill myself or I'm going to make a change. And so I was so desperate, so willing to do anything. So I took the program so seriously. So when you get home, there's like a 12-week integration program that you go through where you're having weekly calls, but you're doing a lot of other things like cleaning up your diet, which I would say for anybody who's interested in getting rid of anxiety and depression, cleaning up your diet is step 1. Wow. Are you drinking caffeine? Are you eating sugar? Are you taking care of your body? If you're not, cut it out. Like you need to start there because a lot of people don't know this. SSRI medications they treat serotonin levels in your brain. Your brain's only responsible for 5% of the serotonin levels in your body. The other 95% is done in your gut. So serotonin levels matter to your health, your happiness, your anxiety. Like, that's all important. So what are you eating? And if you're drinking caffeine every day and energy drinks and all of that, you're going to give yourself anxiety, literally. So don't go to the doctor and be like, hey, doc, I need a prescription, because they'll give you one happily, eagerly. The pharmaceutical industries would love that. But you're just going to be stacking on pharmaceuticals, like symptom masking, instead of actually getting to the root problem, which is probably what you're eating. It's a pretty crazy, amazing program, and a lot of work gets done. But again, the biggest thing that I always love to shift focus to is like, these medicines are cool. They're a good tool to help you kind of restructure your brain and break through some traumas. I literally, no joke, in one 8-hour session, I think it was like probably 7 hours, but in one day, I solved all of my childhood trauma in that one sitting. I'm not even kidding. Like came out of that, I'm good now. Okay. Like that's like awesome. Like I was able to process that trauma. Like I'm good. And then I left that session and it's okay. Now that I go home, what am I going to do with that? And that was me like reaching out to my parents and having a conversation with them for the first time in a couple of years and taking the lessons I learned from that. My dad treated me a certain way. Okay, I'm now treating other people that way. And so I need to fix that behavior. So it's not just clearing out the trauma. It's also removing yourself from situations that don't serve you. If you drink alcohol all the time, well, that doesn't serve you and your wife and your family. stop drinking alcohol. So come out of that experience, okay, I cleared out why I was drinking alcohol, so don't go back to it. Don't go back into that habit and those routines because you'll just get caught in another loop. Your routine matters so hard. Like people need to look at what they're doing with their time.
So what would you say to someone who is interested in experiencing this and going through this experience, going through these programs, but is scared because maybe one, they've never ever touched drugs in their lives. Two, they've heard horror stories about people tripping out and just a horrible experience. I've heard of someone having a very bad experience.
Eating people's faces.
Yeah. No, I heard of someone having a bad experience at an ayahuasca retreat. Very bad trip.
Yeah.
So what do you say to those people?
Yeah. So great question. So screening is really important. These medicines are not for everybody. If you're struggling with addiction and you're still like consuming, like one of the keys is you have to go to these things pretty much sober. Not all medications that you're on are going to interact very well with these types of medicines. Ayahuasca is a DMT-based thing. You can't be consuming certain medicines at the same time as anything that's got DMT. DMT forms naturally in your brain, but there's these levels, these doses that you're at. There's certain medications that just don't work well together. So be extremely honest during the screening process. You need to meet with a nurse first. There's usually like a screener that will sit with you and have you fill out a form, and you need to be honest on that form. That's the place to be honest, and they'll let you know if it's time to sit or not with these medicines. And they do offer, most of the retreat places that you can go offer titration or programs to get you off of medications, but you have to honor it. So you have to get your diet right. You have to get off of those medications. So do that, step one. That'll help your chemistry and your body be safe. Some of the medicines that are out there, like Ibogaine is trending right now, and Iboga, those are big medicines. Those can cause heart attacks. And so not everybody is a candidate for that. So you have to have an EKG done and some blood work done before you can potentially go be a candidate for that. Right. So screening, number one. Number two is you'll want to make sure that you go somewhere safe and reputable and not do these things in your friend's house or backyard or whatever. Exactly. And the reason for that is this is big work. And this is when you're in the medicine, everything is heightened. Yeah. And so whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're going through, whatever you're listening to, so the music that's on, the sounds that you hear, you don't want to be somewhere where there's sirens and ambulances and alarms and text messages and dogs barking, because it will really mess with you while you're in your journey. That's such sacred space to be in. Right. And so you'll want to go somewhere reputable with trained professionals that know how to handle freak out moments or whatever, right? It's really important to be safe and be around safe people. What I'll tell you about the actual medicines themselves, though, is there's a saying in the military, trust your equipment. And for me, I'll just, like really quick story, but this will articulate the point of like how safe these medicines are. When I was in the military, I was really scared of heights. And I wanted more than anything to be one of those people jumping out of helicopters, zip lining, going down ropes. I wanted to be air assault qualified real bad, but I was terrified of heights. And so I started training for it to go to air assault school. And air assault school is climbing ropes and jumping out of helicopters and coming out of helicopters all full battle rattle, ready to go. I want to be one of those people. And so to do that, I had to start on a tower. The tower is 65 foot and maybe taller, depending on where you go. And you literally need to jump off that tower, and you're attached to a rope and you have to jump off of it. And there's no, besides the ropes that you tied yourself, the Swiss seat that you tied yourself with a rope, and you're connected to another rope, there's no safety net down there, right? Like when you step off the side of that tower, that's it. Like you better trust your equipment. And I was having a really hard time, and one of my instructors said that to me, trust your equipment. And so that was my mantra, which I love mantras for everything in life. That really got me through. Like anytime I was about to step off that tower, I'm like, my equipment's got me. I'm going to trust my equipment. This seat's got me. This rope's got me. These gloves have me. Like I'm good. Like I'm going to trust my equipment. And I trusted my teammates, because down there on the ground, there's somebody holding the rope to keep it steady. Right. And so I'm trusting my teammate. And so what I'll say is when you go into this medicine, when you're scared of anything in life, trust your equipment, trust your teammates, right? And you just a lot of us have fear because we don't have trust. And what I will say about these medicines and the people serving them that are in safe environments with reputable backgrounds is to trust them and know that you will be held and the space will be open for you and to show up exactly how you are. Sometimes that's freaking out. Some of these medicines like 5-MeO-DMT, it's big medicine. 5-MeO-DMT turns off your consciousness, and what happens during that time for 15, 20 minutes, your body might be screaming, yelling, crying, puking, whatever's going to happen, you have no control over because you are out of it. But what comes out during that medicine is all the somatic release, all the stuff your body's been holding on to and keeping inside that needed to come out. So when I was on 5-MeO DMT, I have a video of it. I was screaming at the top of my lungs like I was being murdered for 15 minutes. And guess what?
Shit.
It needed to come out. I was one scared girl for a long time in the military. I was terrified, and I never got to show that. I never got to be scared. I never got to tell people I was scared because I would get made fun of, or comments flying, women shouldn't be in the military.
Yeah.
That would be what would happen if I said, hey, I'm fucking scared.
Yeah.
But there was plenty of times I was fucking terrified.
I'm sure.
And that medicine allowed me to get it all out and scream and yell and cry and shake and do all the things that my body needed to. There's a great book called The Body Keeps a Score.
Yes.
And a lot of people think, oh, I've got PTSD and I have trauma. It's in my brain. Nope, it's in your body. It's in your body, and you need to get it out. And these medicines offer a path to that. And again, I'll just go back to what I said a moment ago. Trust your equipment and trust that it's doing the work that needs to be done, even if it's a freak out, even if it's like a big reaction, a big release, whatever. One of the most beautiful things about the staff that are going to be holding space for you to do that is they're used to seeing that, and they want to see that. They want to see that because they know it's helping you.
Yeah.
And so all of you is welcome in those spaces. Your emotions, your sadness, your not being perfect, not showing up, your ugly crying, your puking, whatever happens, they want that in that space, and it's safe there, and it's welcomed there, and it's wanted there. So just trust your people, trust your equipment, and just start learning how to trust. Yeah.
And so this plant medicine and these journeys and these retreats and stuff, this is a big part of your advocacy work around mental health now because of what you've personally experienced.
Yeah, it's saving lives. As soon as it saved my own, once I went through the experience and I had to see the proof, right? I didn't even know about these things. And then when I went there and I was like, what is this place?
Did you,
Like,
okay, sorry, Amy, did you know that this was part of it? Like that person offered you this retreat experience. Did you know that was part of it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you sign releases and you have a 8-week prep program where they're teaching you what it all is and how it works and getting your body right and your diet right and telling you why you need to get your body and diet right. It's not just, hey, you need to lose weight. It's because that never even comes up. It's like you need to get your system right to remove substances like 0 alcohol, 0 caffeine. You try to cut back all the sugar that you possibly can to be ready to receive the medicine. So they do their biggest work. So the body has a clean slate to work with. And then they give you so they teach you all that stuff. And so when I found out about these medicines and what they can do firsthand, having the experience myself, and you know what, my parents have depression. I'm like, you guys need to come do this. It's saving lives. And so I joined the board. I'm actually on the board of the Illuminating Collective in Austin, Texas. And I do a lot of volunteer work with them. And I'm actually an understudy now to be a facilitator of the medicine. Yeah. It's a long path. It's a long journey. There's a lot of years to study. I'll be going to some other countries to study with some indigenous tribes to learn straight hand from the indigenous cultures that grow and nurture and foster this history and this culture and these medicines. Yeah. But it's something I'm shouting from the rooftops for our military veterans and first responders. Get off the pharmaceuticals and go to the root core of what's actually going on and fix it.
Were you scared at first?
Terrified.
I mean, had you ever done drugs before?
I definitely done like some like party style stuff. This is way different because these are what we call hero doses. So you're doing like 6 grams, 5 grams of mushrooms at once. It's a lot. It's not a party dose, that's for sure. It's not like a little chocolate bar or something like that. This is big medicine. So I was terrified. But the nice thing is when it's actually like the medicine day, ceremony day, there's 2 ceremony days in the retreat week, but the one that I am associated with. On the Tuesday, you go in so calm, like they do breath work with you. Yeah. There's a lot of prep work that goes into the day. There's a whole ceremony. There's a fire ceremony. Like you get to write down your intentions and you go in and they start by giving you MDMA. So you get that initially up front and that really calms you down and puts you in just like a very like heart state, which is what that's for. It's to open your heart. And then you go to your mat, they give you your bowl of mushrooms and you go talk to the mushrooms because they're mycelial. They're absorbing everything. You tell them what you need. You eat them with some honey and then you put on your mask and then there's this live band, like live music playing and you go into your journey and there's staff all around you with tissue boxes and everything you could possibly need. If you need to be supported to take a break or go outside for a moment, they'll accompany you. It's magic. It's pure magic and it's saving lives. Yeah.
I know you do this for veterans and first responders. Who else would you recommend this type of healing process for?
Even though our key focus is the heroes of the nation, that's what we specialize in. This is good for basically anybody that could medically be accessible to this. Again, I was prefaced like it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
There's certain like personality disorders as well that wouldn't be a good fit, where it might be risky for you. So it's always important just to get medically screened to make sure you're a good fit. But if anybody's struggling with mental health issues at all, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, I would go through a process like this. And I say a process like this because I want to emphasize this is not just go eat 5 grams of mushrooms and you're healed. This is it's literally a process.
Drop some MDMA, eat 5 grams, eat a quarter ounce of mushrooms, and you're good.
It's a tool, but it's not the process. I want to emphasize the process because the process, step 1 to the process, the most critical part of the process is getting rid of substances, like getting sober, get off alcohol, stop drinking immediately, like no sugar, and to clean up any other things that you're consuming. A lot of people are on Adderall, a lot of people are on SSRIs. You got to get off all that stuff. And the integration is the second most important part. So the medicine is not an even important factor. The medicine is like probably 3rd or 4th on the list of what's important. And so I can't emphasize that enough. You got to fix your whole life.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so intrigued by this stuff.
We got to get you out there, Brad.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. That would be incredible. Just amazing. Oh, yes. We'll talk about that after. What does healing look like for you personally, and how has that vision evolved since leaving the military?
Yeah. So initially I was just trying to survive. I was just trying to like, can I please just not want to kill myself? That would be great. I just wanted to like myself. And when I got past all of that, for me, obviously my healing journey, as I mentioned, I'm like anxiety free, I'm depression free. And now I'm in a state where healing for me is tweaking. It's like fine tweaking characteristics and personality things that are so ingrained in me, bad habits I have, how I speak. Right now, one of my big lessons that the medicine gave me, it's interesting how the medicine talks to you, but it was like, I'm touching my throat because that's what I had to do when I was in the medicine. I was going like this. And the lessons, the download I was getting was you need to be kind with your word, careful with your word, and it's being honest and being respectful and trying to fix your language, essentially. So I'm now going through this process of catching myself, and I'm not there yet, which is why it's one of the things on my list, but like swearing all the time. I don't need to do that. We talked about filling the silence. I don't need to fill the silence all the time. I don't need to be heard in every setting. So part of my healing process, there's 12 weeks of integration circles. I was silent for probably 6 or 7 of them. I would just skip my turn. And I did that because I have a podcast for a reason. I talk a lot. And I'm realizing I need to allow other people. I need to be more of a listener than a speaker. And so that was a huge lesson for me. So there's just like for me, it's now like personality tweaks and really refining who I am and why I am doing what I'm doing.
So that integration you talked about, as you said, that's one of the most important pieces. The medicine is not as important. So the integration continues on and on, just like any work, any healing work that people do, you have to continually work at it.
Oh, yeah. And even you brought up ayahuasca earlier. An ayahuasca ceremony I was in recently comes to mind where I had this person sitting next to me, and it was a 3-day ceremony. This was day 1. After day 1 was over, he looks at me and he goes, I don't think I can come back tomorrow. I'm like, wait, what? Bro, this is a 3-day ceremony. Like you paid a lot of money to be here. What do you mean? And he says, the medicine told me very specifically with gusto, you don't need any more medicine. Go do the work. So the guy didn't show up the next day. Wow. And the medicine will do that. So a lot of people, there's people who will abuse things and medicines. And we've got alcoholics all over. But the medicine will definitely also correct you. Like you can't keep coming back. Like you need to go and actually make the changes in your life. And that's the hardest part. No kidding. Because here's what happens if you don't prepare. You go do this medicine, you come back to your life. You've had all these ideas and realizations and revelations. You go home, your wife's pissed off at you still. You didn't fix anything with her. Your kids hate you. Your boss and your work environment is something you don't like. You're still drinking alcohol all the time. Nothing is going to change for you. You have to change everything. Like, how bad do you want it? You might need a new job. You might need to go to marriage counseling or get a divorce. Sometimes that's the best route. You need to spend more time with your kids. You need to be fully present. There's all these things that you need to do. And a lot of people miss that step when they go to these retreat houses all over the world. If you're going to Costa Rica or Peru or whatever, and you have no support program when you come back, there's no integration support, and you're not actually like holding yourself accountable. A lot of people will go do this big medicine, spend all this money, 10 grand or whatever, come back, make zero changes in their life, and will fall right back into the old patterns. And before you know it, they're back to feeling depressed again because they didn't change their diet. They didn't change their routines. So that could not be the more important than what it is.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Where do you feel the intersection of purpose and pain has guided your journey?
I'm getting to the point now where I am thankful for what I've been through because I have a big mouth and I have the ability and the confidence to turn around and tell people like, hey, this stuff works. And I think I've been given the gift of the pain and purpose now to turn around and help people. I feel so fulfilled helping people. A lot of military veterans, especially and first responders, find true healing again by volunteering or by having some kind of purpose given to them again. When they leave the military, they often lose that purpose. What am I doing with my time? The things that they are in the military for are so much bigger than ourselves, right? They're part of a team. They're fighting wars. They're involved in politics, right? There's all kinds of, they're fighting forest fires. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Hurricane Katrina, you had military out there saving people, right? So when that sense of purpose is gone, what do you do? And so that, for me, the intersection of pain and purpose is, this is my beautiful new purpose, is to help people find healing and help them find purpose again and success in their own lives. And had I not been through everything I had been through pain-wise, I would not be here helping other people.
That is an incredibly beautiful purpose. And when you do find that purpose in your life, there's no feeling like it in the world. It is absolutely incredible. And when you find that purpose and you realize that purpose, that part of your purpose is to give back and impact people, that's like winning the lottery twice, in my opinion. No amount of money can give you that feeling. It is absolutely incredibly joyous when you find that and you go through it and you do it. You embody it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I definitely feel like the most important factor, period, about healing is your ability to turn around and help someone else heal. When you heal, you're healing your children. When you heal, you're healing your spouse. And so you really can impact the world around you by just healing yourself.
For sure. How do you want your legacy as both a veteran and a mental health advocate to impact future generations?
I just want to offer hope. If I can overcome what I overcame in my brain, like the war, the internal battle with myself, I know that anybody can, because that was rough. And so for me, it's just hope. Everything I do in my life, I am moving towards structuring everything to where when I'm at the grocery store and I'm in a checkout line and I'm taking a moment to make eye contact with that person and say, hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. That goes so far. And I think people forget the impact that they can make just by those little moments. And so for me, it's hope. That's the big key word.
Love it. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I rag on myself, but my big mouth, the confidence to speak up. I wish that gift for everybody. I met a woman in my ayahuasca journey. She was leading it. She was one of the shamans, and she was so freaking talented. She was singing and playing 75 different instruments I'd never even heard of or seen. She was brilliant, and she was this very small woman, and she had a very quiet voice, and she kept expressing that like her healing journey was the power of speaking up, because she had been abused and silenced her whole life, and she never felt like her voice was wanted or needed. And I was sitting there not able to comprehend that, because my whole life I've always had the confidence to speak up and the guts to be confrontational, because there's definitely a skill or a ballsy factor to being confrontational. And I never understood what it was like to be silenced. She was very quiet, and I like just witnessing her go through that and being the polar opposite of what my skill set is. I realized just how many other people out there are like that, where they don't have a voice or feel like they don't have a voice or don't want to be heard. And I wish that for other people. I encourage other people, like, find your voice and find the things that you want to say and songs you want to sing and instruments you want to play. Be loud. And I encourage that for all women.
Be as loud as you can and take up as much space as possible.
That's right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of success, Amy, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
I used to look at success as money, things, cars, houses, marriage status, the size of the rock on your finger. And now, after doing all this deep healing work, success for me is hanging out with my kid and doing the things I enjoy, taking time to meditate and sit in the sun. Yesterday, I'm in Portland, Oregon today, and yesterday the sun was so stunning, and it was like the most perfect spring day outside. And me and my dog went and sat on the porch right outside and just basked in the sun. And I'm like, this is the life. This is the life. No money was being spent. I'm not married. There's no husband. There's no car. You know what I mean? I literally just was sitting on the porch, basking in the sun with my dog, happy as a clam. And so that is success to me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after learning it?
The thing that's popping in my mind right now is I had a really horrible childhood. As I lightly articulated earlier in our call, I was bouncing between countries, the US, the UK, never having a place that I really belonged. I have an American accent. I'm not American. I'm actually British. And just not having that identity crisis, there's so much was going wrong. And I blamed my family, and I just hated my parents. And I had a horrible relationship with my parents growing up, which is one of the reasons why I joined the military, to get away. And for me, I spent most of my adult life like pushing every single person in my family away, like never did holidays together, never did birthdays, nothing, like literally just lived my adult life on my own. And going through this healing journey, as I mentioned to you earlier, I did all this huge like family trauma work like in my medicine journey. And I came out of that journey like, okay, I'm good. Like I'm not mad at my family anymore. And since then, my biggest thing is family is not your enemy. And I know for some people it is, and it can be, but even the worst case scenarios, the worst case, like your mom killed your brother, like even the worst case scenarios, you can still heal that by finding understanding of your parents and how messed up they were to have to get to a point where they're doing that. Like anybody on the planet is capable of anything. And I mean anything.
Yeah.
If they're put in the right conditions and they're surrounded by the right traumas, right? Like we're all capable of the same stuff. And it's hard to grasp that concept. But when you sit with things like these medicines, you can understand that I am you and you are me. And we're all one and we're all capable of the same stuff. So you can find some room for forgiveness in your heart and you can let go of some things. You don't need to necessarily have a relationship with them. No. Maybe you can't have a relationship with them, but you can at least get to a point where you can forgive them, if for nobody else, then for yourself. And so for me, that's the biggest lesson, is that family is everything and community is everything. If you don't have a family, find a community.
Yes.
And the importance of forgiveness and letting go. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment can be so many things, but it's so essential. And if no one's doing it for you, you can start doing it for others. And I guarantee it will come back to you tenfold. It's just little words of encouragement and opportunities that you can provide or take advantage of. And I'm just going to use the grocery store example again. You've got someone helping you take your bags out to the car or fill your grocery bags. And it's, hey, John, thank you so much. Looking at their name tag saying, thank you so much for helping me out to the car today. What are your goals? What are your dreams? How can I help you? How can I serve you? Oh, man, I'm just trying to go to college. Oh, cool. What college are you going to? Oh, did you know there's a scholarship exists? Here, let me send you the info on it, right? It's just like little tiny encouragements. Like, you want to be a singer-songwriter, John? Go be a singer-songwriter. I want to hear one of your songs. Sing one for me right now. Just providing space, right? Helping where you can. It might just be introducing them to someone or offering to share it on Instagram that they wrote this beautiful song and post it for them. Like little words of encouragement. It's those little tiny moments that end up being the most impactful for someone's life. Like, it all compounds. If someone had a horrible day and you just said, hey, I hope you're having a great day, like I'm thinking about you, you can literally turn someone's entire chemistry around. So what you put out into the world, it comes back to you. So for me, that's empowerment.
Absolutely. I love that. Hey, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type thing. Okay. How would you describe yourself in one word?
I don't know why chaos is coming in my mind, but I got to go with the first thing. That's what the earth wants. I'm chaos.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
For being a good mother. Yeah.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would that be?
To love.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
I'm funny. I'm super funny. Yeah, I like that. Finding humor in everything.
What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
More time with my son.
That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time. If you could take one feeling or one belief and bottle it and give it to people, what would it be?
Unconditional love. I sat in an ayahuasca ceremony and had one of the most biggest breakthroughs in the same one I was talking about earlier of my life, where I had no frame of reference in my life of what unconditional love was. And it's really sad to say that out loud, but it's true. I didn't know what it felt like. Love for me was transactional growing up, and you had to give something to get something kind of thing. And there was this moment where the same incredible, beautiful shaman I was telling you about playing all these instruments, she came around the room. There was 15 or so of us in there, and she invited everybody to come sit in the middle of the room in a circle. And we went around the room and she was singing songs or around the circle, and she was singing songs and playing for us. And she was singing about love, and everyone did this kind of like popcorn style, like word of how they were feeling that. And it was like this like big unity circle, and everyone was like singing songs together and everything. And we were all like willing to be family for one another and holding space for one another and exactly how we were, no matter how we were showing up. And it was the first time that I felt real unconditional love in my life. And it was a frame of reference that has since changed my entire interactions with everybody in all ways and all things. And so I wish that I could gift unconditional love to everybody, because I think it would heal the world from a lot of the things that we're all going through.
Love is the highest vibration on the planet. Yeah. And John Lennon and Paul McCartney said it. Love is all we need.
Yeah, love is all we need. It's true.
It is. It's 100% true. What's one lesson your career has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their lives?
Career-wise, I would say that if you've given it your best go to make it work where you're at, and it's just not like you're not happy, to move on faster and to find what you are actually happy with and happy doing and find your purpose. Like that I cannot emphasize that enough, that finding your purpose, all you have to do that, people are like, oh, that's complicated. What do you mean? Follow your joy, follow your heart. What makes your heart sing? And I hear a lot of naysayers when I say that, but the thing is, it's actually legitimately true. If you just start paying attention to what actually brings you joy, it will come back in tenfold. The money will come. You will figure out a path. You'll figure out a way. But follow your joy, because there's a reason you're on this earth. There's a reason you chose this day and time. There's a reason that you chose this life. And if you're doing something that's making you miserable, that is your body telling you that you're in the wrong thing and to go do something else. Yeah, move on faster.
You always hear the excuse, oh, I can't leave the security of my job. I can't do this. I can't do that. How do I figure out my purpose? How do I do this? Where do I start? All these different excuses.
You just don't want it bad enough.
Yeah, there you go.
You just don't want it bad enough. How bad do you want it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way. You will find a way to figure it out, because
that's right.
And there's more than enough. I don't care. When I left corporate to start my photography business, people say, there's so many photographers out there. And yeah, but no one else sees things the way I do. No one else creates images the way I do. No one else is me. That's my gift.
Right.
Is I see things differently than everybody else. You can give cameras to 3 different people and to shoot the same thing, all the images are going to look different in one way or another. So use your gifts. You are a gift. Your gift. You are here as a gift, and everyone on this planet has a gift, and it's your duty and your responsibility to find out what it is and share it with the world. The world needs it.
That's right. And it's just a factor of what is your value system. If your main value is money, then you're going to be miserable. If your main value is joy in life and, doing what makes you happy, then you have the ability to be extremely happy and successful if money is not your primary value system. Yeah,
for sure. As you said, the money will always come. And there's more than enough of that in the world for everybody.
Yeah, so, if you got the shirt on your back, food in your belly, and you're able to take care of your family and your kids, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. What is your why, Amy?
My son. My son's 16. He has been my lighthouse in the dark all these years, and my purpose of doing everything I do, and my reason for thriving and going on. So yeah, my son.
Love it. What would you say is one of your biggest life lessons or teachable moments, and what did you learn from it?
I think just forgiveness, letting things go. You don't have to get even or hold a grudge. The word forgiveness has served me extremely well in my healing journey. Some people did me really dirty in the military, and I held on to that for a long time. But being able to like actually let it go and move on for myself has been just so therapeutic.
Love it. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
I feel like we've covered so much. Oh my gosh. My big thing was just wanting to talk about plant medicine to help more veterans find it. Yeah, I'm going to be lame and say I don't have an answer. I literally, we've covered so much ground.
We have. Thank you. I'll receive that as a compliment.
Yeah, you did great.
Thank you. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh, Princess Diana. I don't even know why. I've been thinking about this a little bit. Why do I love her so much? I find her so fascinating, and she went through so much. And gosh, I just want to give that woman a hug. Yeah. I think for women who are around the world, she's like a figurehead of being cheated on and what she went through and being such a good mom. And she's like the women in all of us kind of thing. And I just would want to hang out with her and have lunch. She's so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, good question. I wrote a letter to myself when I was 12. Sorry, not when I was 12. I wrote a letter to my 12-year-old self as part of my healing journey. And my big thing now is that I wish I would have fought my family less. And even though I was so neglected in so many ways, I could have made my own journey easier by trying a little bit harder to realize that my family wasn't my enemy. And so I would probably just say, hang in there, kid, like you're going to be okay, and give myself a lot of love and just remind myself how loved I am and how special I am. And it might not come from my family in those moments, but it's going to come. So just encouragement. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Lastly, Amy, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
You are sometimes the light in the dark. If it's dark all around you, maybe you are the light. And you have the power to light up the room. You have the power to light up people. You have the power to light up yourself even brighter. You are the energy. You are the source. And you don't have to sit in darkness all alone looking for the light. You just need to remember who you are.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Amy, for being a guest today, for sharing your story, your journey, your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise. It has been such an incredibly powerful and beautiful conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you for taking and making the time to be here with me today. I am honored to call you a member of the Empowerography community and to call you a friend. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Excited to see the episode. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Amy Charlesworth. She is a 16-year military veteran and an advocate for mental health, plant medicine, and healing. Thank you so much, Amy. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.